You've participated in many exorcisms.
Yes.
Was there ever one that stood out to you?
She would have, a treasure trove of 100 or 200 entities that are.
Oh.
She spun around and threw herself across the room.
Whoa.
And started convulsing, and then all of a sudden this darker voice came out of you, and all of a sudden this is a black room, and this huge light opens up, and this young girl walks into the space. She was left there. She's waiting for her parents.
Right.
From the 60s.
Whoa.
She was by her uncle, and her energy was haunting the space, and ultimately my clients left the house, sold the house, and the next owner bulldozed it with my recommendation.
Welcome back to the Digital Social Hour, guys. Today I have with me an amazing guest, Taoist master San Qing. How's it going?
Good. Great to be here, Sean.
Man, I can't wait to dive into your story.
Yeah. I'm kind of like, I was definitely drawn to this experience, and it seems to me like you're ready to delve deep into the mysticism.
I'm ready. So I know nothing about Taoism. So if you could give people watching this and myself an explanation.
Right. So in essence, Daoism is about understanding how the human being is connected with the universe in of itself. That's really the instrument that we realize and understand how the inner workings of ourself as individuals and then collective. So we rely heavily on ritual, cultivation, and a practice that gives us a greater understanding of the magnitude of where we play within the ecosystem of the universe. I mean, That's truly the essence of what Dao is. And if people were to reflect on, in definition, the way is the Dao. So it's your way. It's how you perceive your reality, and ultimately understanding that everything is an effortless action that takes nothing but just being present to realize what's going on.
Interesting.
And so understanding that on a much deeper level, being able to delve into other aspects of your consciousness is where you build up a real relationship with Tao itself, and then understanding that you have to create this interconnection, which is the cultivation of the energy, which is really powerful.
Yeah, we'll dive into some techniques later on. First, I want to talk about what was it like being a priest? Because you did that for many years, right?
Yeah. Oh, I'm a priest today.
Oh, yeah.
I never leave the presence of. That's my main source of everything that I do. So, a variable of being a Daoist priest is everything from transitioning people to their next life, or the birth of a child, or a wedding, or an exorcism, or a house clearing, a feng shui setup. It really depends on where someone is in their own journey and how they lean upon me to help create the architecture of their reality.
So you do one-on-one coaching almost?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. Yeah.
So it's not like a group session, which is what I'm thinking of as a priest. It's more individualized.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the group scenario was very powerful. But a lot of people, and this is kind of where we're going to go today, and I'll explain to you why it's so important that I understand that, I've helped hundreds, thousands of people over the last 30 years, and now I've put myself in a situation where I can help millions in understanding how they can connect themselves to their higher level of consciousness.
Right. And you mentioned past lives earlier, so you believe in reincarnation?
Oh, absolutely.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, when it comes to understanding spirit, the spirit, or how people define it these days, there is an endless amount of spirits, energies. It's
infinite.
And so when you attune yourself, because this is the barometer, your physical body is the barometer to your reality, you can create a heightened sense of perception where you can really be in tune with things and know the presence of what is coming in and the information you're receiving.
Wow, that's incredible. So do you remember any of your past lives?
Oh, absolutely.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, the last 30 odd past lives have got a variation of different Daoist lineage holders. And then there were a few situations that integration is quite interesting because at one point I was a Buddhist monk and a Catholic priest. And it's sort of like a culmination. People don't understand how important it is as a Taoist blueprint. People have sort of created a stigma around religion per se, and I'll give you more of an understanding of the religious aspect of Daoism and then the philosophy. But there is so much more to everyone's experience in this lifetime.
Wow. So let's say if you're a really good person, you're giving off great energy in your life. Is there a way to control where you'll be in the future? Like, will that put you in a better spot in the future?
Oh, absolutely.
Really?
That's why I created an app to do exactly that.
Wow.
And so you become synergized, synchronized to be able to manifest, to be able to heal, to be able to create and cast magic as you see fit. People seem to sort of like lean on a framework of understanding of what we call Wu Ji, which is the stillness, the oneness that is the Tao or God or universe or Buddha or however you perceive it. They miss the point of realizing that you're it. That's the inner core of who you are. I mean, conceptually people understand that, but that's where it ends. To create a momentum and to realize it is to be able to sort of like cultivate the energy, and that's what we're really masters at, is cultivating the energy and using this as a tuning fork.
Right.
Because the human body is just one big energy source.
And how can people get better at controlling their energy? Because I feel like that's a practice that isn't taught in the mainstream.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's understanding that, within Taoism, with any sort of practice, most of the time, there was, I think in the mid 80s, there's a couple of people that have brought over Taoist practices from some of the monasteries in China, and they are implementing them, but there's missing links. Like one of the famous Taoist practices or meditations is called the microcosmic orbit, and that is misrepresented, and it always falls short. There are a couple of elements, there are hidden misdirections for a reason. So when people take this material and they apply it and they don't get the results, it's because they weren't meant to. And so microcosmic orbit is a fantastic starting point. But to control the energy, first you must control your emotions.
Right.
And so that's a barometer or a starting point for anybody, is realizing the emotions don't control you, you control your emotions.
Yeah, because a lot of people have anger issues or they get depressed and they're not able to control it.
Yes. And I mean, that's the starting point for me. The first thing, as a priest, we normally have a 2-3 second rule. If you can't pivot and redirect the energy, the thought, the emotion, the feeling, then you're going to have to go back to the drawing board and start working more closely with understanding how you perceive your reality, and then focusing on dispersing the stagnation that's within the physical body, which is related to the thought, emotion, or feeling.
Right. That's very interesting. And walk me through the third eye. What exactly is the third eye, and how can people open their third eye?
Okay. So the third eye is a center point of intuition. What people sort of have a misconception of is understanding that it's a gateway, but the real commander in chief is here, right? So your heart is conducting all the messaging and the ability to translate or transcend what you believe is the projector. The brain is the projector. So the third eye is nothing more than a sort of like a transmitter, as you would say, which is basically the whole body, but it's a very focused point. So when people come to me and they want their experience to be somewhat out of body, which is what seems to be very popular right now. Mushrooms, ayahuasca, people are looking for that escape from the 3D reality. They want to taste what I define as a taste, a glimpse of what the possibility is. And there is nothing that you can't do once you're given the tools to create that and then manifest that into reality, transmute it into reality. So the projector, The third eye it's how you palpate the crystals within the pineal gland
Right.
through your mastery of the energy that gives you at will, what most people would consider hallucinations, but it's a level of awareness, a sort of like sensory perception that goes beyond what we call the five senses, well beyond.
Wow. And how can people channel their energy to open it or unlock it?
There's a process like anything, and it's not unobtainable for anybody. You just have to understand, like, there's a progression. So I have developed an app that does exactly that. You puts you in the state of awareness. There's over 2 years worth of material. I always refer to people to go to the first 9 weeks, because that's the mastery of understanding your mental emotional state.
Right.
The first 9 weeks using the app, every day you will become more and more in tune and more empowered, because you'll instantly feel your sensory perception elevate. Even the thought of doing it will raise it up. And then that's kind of integrated with a lot of ancient Daoist practices. We use visual and audible experience to create a kinesthetic response, because the real indicator, the instant indicator, is the kinesthetic response. If you can't feel it, you can't create it.
Wow, that's incredible. You've been able to achieve astral projection, which is a life goal of mine.
Sure.
Walk me through what it's like in that state.
Well, you are, first you start off with, someone will have some perceived construct of a meditation that will elevate your senses and get sort of a reverberating resonation that you'll receive within your physical body, and you will be in tune with that third eye perception, or that it's really a fifth dimensional perception, where you're out of this realm, but everything is tangible. So you can take your wildest imagination and understand that it is now tangible. So you can see people's auras, you can see the energies moving in and around their physical body. Everything that is present, that's tangible here, is also tangible within that realm. So you will start with the reverberation of the energy, and that's a progression depending upon who you're looking to or understanding how this system works.
Right.
And then you will raise up out of your physical body and literally be in what you would consider no person. So there's a progression I teach people. It's first person, third person, no person. And when you're in that no person state, that's when the secret source takes place, and you can do things that your wildest imagination thought was not possible.
Wow, that sounds fun.
And so how far have you gotten?
So right now I'm trying to master lucid dreaming first. So I keep a dream journal. I'm remembering 4 dreams a night.
Okay.
So I'm getting pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. And so why the progression of lucid dreaming as opposed to just astral plane traveling, which in of itself is remote viewing, which some people would consider?
Yeah, that's a good question. I didn't even know that was a path, honestly. I just followed a guide on YouTube, and
very nice.
They said to do lucid dreaming first, and then you could go astral from there. But I'm going to try out this method too.
Yeah, because the magic really starts with the construct. You've already opened the gateway, and your attention is ready to blow the doors off.
Right.
And when you're in that state, you come across someone like myself, which is a coincidence, I assume. I don't know. And I'll show you things that you've never seen before in your wildest imagination that is operating right here, right now. So you've sampled any sort of like hallucinogens of any kind?
Mushrooms, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how was that for you?
Amazing.
Okay.
Yeah. I didn't have an astral projection experience, but it definitely opened my eyes.
Right. And it starts from the seed of your reality. So the construct of karma comes with your belief system. I always remind people, the truth is only what you believe. So when I'm dealing with, and I'm sure we'll get on this topic of exorcisms or spirits, you have to understand this is a construct of your reality. And so people are like, oh, is Freddy Krueger real? Is Jason Voorhees real? I can show you the sample of the energy, frequency, and vibration of that construct that was conceived in Wes Craven's mind.
Right.
And it is palpable. It is tangible. Now, do you have a tangible feeling of that energy in this space. Oh, 100%.
Mm.
Is it, can you grab it? You can feel it,
Wow.
and you will be attuned to that spirit, because there really is a spirit in everything. So Wes Craven's imagination created the construct of Freddy Krueger is on a whole nother level, and it's all imprinted with his, I wouldn't say devious, but very diabolical mindset to create that reality. And so that's very palpable. And
Right.
so if you have fear of that, it's going to find you.
Insane. So you've participated in many exorcisms.
Yes.
Was there ever one that stood out to you as just insane?
Well, they're all in of themselves interesting. I mean,
Right.
I always refer to people, they're like, you say, what now? You doing what? I'm like, well, let's just refer to the good old Catholic priest, one of the biggest exorcists in America.
Yeah,
right
they made
now.
a movie out of that, right?
Right. He resides out of San Jose, California. So
Right.
I ask anyone to question a Catholic as to whether they believe or not.
Right.
And that's a construct of their reality. So understand that if you operate in a duality, which is really the fear to no fear realization. And so if you are of the understanding that there is a heaven and hell, then you are going to bring this into your reality, and
Right.
it's going to transmute into all different types of forms of what you think is true to you. And yes, witnessing exorcisms and performing exorcisms on people is not unusual, and it happens quite often. I had one student where every week she would come back for class, and she would have a treasure trove of 100 or 200 entities that are because she was so excited. She wanted to be the badass exorcist. She wanted to be the slayer, and in her mind, this was very valuable to her. With that, she would bring in these energies into her field, and they would start to operate her perception of reality.
Wow.
And so we had a day in class, and I was teaching people channeling specifically. And at first, when she started bringing this energy in, it seemed fairly benign.
Right.
And as I started to look at the construction of it, because of my ability to see these things, I was like, okay, this is turning into something completely different. And in front of about 20 students, I started to prep her. Normally I have two students. One student will question the spirit and energy that student is channeling, and then they'll take turns. So you have a question list, and you'll ask that spirit what that is, and you write down the answers as the conduit is taking the information in directly, which is so important. You need to be the source of information. So I was witnessing a transformation that seemed sort of like benign, and then sort of started to look a little more ominous.
Right.
And the second I started questioning her, it looked like something out of The Exorcist, because she was so infatuated with this idea. And everyone in the room went white, had a stroke, couldn't believe the magnitude of it, because she spun around and threw herself across the room, which I'm going to say she threw herself across the room.
Whoa.
And started convulsing, and then all of a sudden this darker voice came out of her vessel, and it was like a communication time. And normally these low vibrational energies that have been constructed are basically understanding that you are the creator of this. And so it's there for a reason. It's there for a purpose, to teach you something. And I've never come across an energy like that can't be negotiated with or leave. Right. It's sort of like a negotiation. Sometimes the longest time I've ever had with an energy like that is 3, 4, 6 hours.
Whoa, that's a long time.
Whereas in most cases it'll be within minutes. We'll have a little talk, and then they'll come to the realization there's no need for this person. The development that they're giving them from their perception with that particular entity is of no value. And that's where what dissolves that? Acceptance, love, gratitude.
Wow.
And so that is an instant, because the frequency is so high. This is very low frequency stuff. But again, remember, you are the magnet. So you're drawing these energies in, you're helping them be given life. So wherever your thoughts go, the energy flows.
So if you're operating at a low energy state, you're attracting those kinds
absolutely.
of people.
Well, It's more so if you believe in, like, I try and explain to people, karma is a construct of your value system.
Mm-hmm.
So all it means is if you have a karmic construct, you're operating a duality. You believe there's a right and wrong, up and down, in or out. You have this sort of value system of what you've conceived as sort of like morality per se.
Right.
In the spirit world, there's no such thing.
Mm.
It's that's just a figment of your imagination. They're not going, oh, I'm going to be nice to you because you've taken your shirt off, and guess what? You've given a bum $5, and you've decided that your perception is be virtuous.
Mm.
Well, when you're acting in virtue, you have none whatsoever.
Right.
The spirit world relies solely on the idea that you are resonating at a certain frequency. To obtain the highest level of ascension, you will come to the realization of what those frequencies are and how to obtain them.
Right.
And so that's why Daoism is so powerful, because we use all these tools to integrate, to cultivate, to concentrate, so that your intention turns into manifestation. And it's a practice thing, like anything. Just as you had mentioned, you're practicing lucid dreaming.
Yeah.
There's a practice to it, and understanding how to synchronize that so it's valid information, being able to decipher what I help people understand your personality and what is your divine self.
Right.
And when you operate in the divine self, it's a selfless act. You are consciousness, pure consciousness, and you are at the highest level of operating, creating change in this reality, this 3D reality, when you're in that consciousness. And it's palpable with the energy transfer.
Wow.
And so that's the register. That's your realization and understanding that you are present, because you can see a shift, a change in this reality. That means real-time change of physical alteration at an atomic level. And I've witnessed those over and over and over again.
That's the level that monks are at, right?
I'm sure. I mean, monk, priest, whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
you have come to that realization that dissolves any boundaries, and that is tangible. And what's important as a human being, you must get that register to validate that you are there.
Right.
And that's why it's really important. The way 126 is because that shows you the second you feel it, that kinesthetic response, that's your go time. Get out your list, put out the magic, put out the healing, put out the manifestation, and watch it find equal to or greater than within what we call the field, the Tao, God, universe, and you will be blown away by your instant manifestation.
Incredible. How can people let go of their egos? Because when people come into money, they come into success, they start winning. It seems to be there and it seems to grow, but you're able to let it go.
Absolutely. I mean, again, a perception of your reality, and it's so simple, because that's the first thing you erase when you start to master your emotions, which is almost instantaneous, because you will gravitate to the energy, frequency, and vibration, and it trains you. This is the amplitude. This is the tool. You're just being deceived by the idea that you actually exist.
Right.
I always remind people, all thoughts of your mind are not yours.
Whoa, that's crazy to think about. So you're not in control of your thoughts?
It's not. It's just another soundtrack. It's another story that you're actually observing. And so, the real heightened level of ascension is when you believe, when you know you are not of this body, what can harm you?
So it's all the power of the thought then.
Well, this is a projector.
Right.
So the CEO is the heart. This is where all the feelings and information. Well, the energy comes from that, but you're coupling the two. Like when you want to get high frequency and synchronization, you couple the heart with the brain, and the neural network between the two creates the synergy that is equal to or greater than the frequency of the earth, and then magic starts taking place, because you are in tune. So when you sync the heart with the brain then replicates that, and the gut mirrors that signal.
Right.
And that's where you get the gut feeling.
Right.
And it's a neural thing, but energy is everything.
Wow.
So people are like, if I speak with neuroscientists or physicists that are steeped in the idea that this is the simplicity of the human body, most people will talk about You can't feel the third eye. You'll get a neurologist, a scientist saying you can't feel there's nothing behind it. There's no
Right.
nerve endings.
It's not
Well,
real.
it's not real, but you need to understand that the human body has over 50,000, well, 50, sorry, excuse me, 50 trillion cells.
Right.
And each cell has a 0.07 millivolt of energy. So you're a walking bomb.
Wow.
And so when you master your ability to move that energy in and around through your neurology, through your physical body, you can do anything. And that's the mastery of Daoism, and that's why people gravitate to it, because it is the art of synchronizing.
Right. And I've heard with spirits, you're not supposed to talk to them, but it sounds like you are with what you do.
You know, I'll bust out a spirit entity interaction instantaneously. It brings me to a point where I was working with a particular woman, and she was laying on a massage table, and we want to register her perception. So we turned all the lights out, and I was moving energy through her. I sit at the other side of the room. I don't actually have to. You don't touch. You don't have to touch. Once you're in tune with the energy and frequency of the universe, you could be in another country. It doesn't matter. The same amplitude, and that comes from understanding how to train in Nigong, which is moving energy with your mind.
Wow.
And so then I'm moving the energy, and all of a sudden, this is a black room, and this huge light opens up. And I'm like, oh, this is interesting. And this young girl walks into the space. Now, remember, my sensory perception is a lot more heightened than the average person. It's just about training and opening up those pathways.
Right.
She starts having a conversation with me, and my client's like, what's going on? I can feel this shivering, this sort of like prickly feeling, and it varies to the amplitude of where you're at in your connection with your yin energy, because that's the intuition,
right,
which you seem to be very in tune with, which I love that. And very, very intuitive. Understanding that when this entity came out, we're having a conversation, gets to the brass tacks, and basically she was left there. She's waiting for her parents,
right,
from the 60s.
Whoa.
And I'm like, okay, you've been here from the 60s, but I'm starting to see other energies around you. And it had to do, ultimately, the end result was she was by her uncle. And her energy was haunting the space. And ultimately, my clients left the house, sold the house, and the next owner bulldozed it with my recommendation, because there's an infusing of energy. People have to understand that everything is palpable, everything is transferable, everything. Our conversation as we connect, as you just, a few seconds ago got a surge of electric charge up your spine, a Christmas tree moment where your aura was shivering. That's part of being interconnected. When we talk, we're transferring. You are me, I am you.
Right.
Your DNA is being altered as we speak.
Wow.
It's
crazy.
Well, yeah, it all starts from here, which is from here. That's the misdirection.
Insane. So I used to have nightmares a lot as a kid. It got to the point where I had sleep paralysis. So what exactly is going on during that? Because I saw hallucinations. I was getting choked out. Is that a cross of dimensions?
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
Wow.
And you're right there, my friend. You're right there. It's just you need a little helping hand, and here's San Qing, just here to help you out. What a coincidence. But no, that's 100% across of your dimensions. And when I talk about dimensions, the physics model is just giving people an understanding of the world we operate in, and it's anecdotal at best, because people still have different versions of what they believe is the truth in relation to the universe. And still to this day, physicists are questioning the depth of understanding of what a dimension is. But let's put it this way. I use the first 9 because we are very steeped into our numerology, into our sacred words, our sacred symbols, and how powerful that is, because it's part of your DNA. It's part of everyone's DNA. If you look deeper, you are integrated infused with words. And so you resonate with things. When you pick up something and you read it, it resonates with you. The linguistics resonates, whether it's audible or inaudible.
Right.
You're experiencing this connection, this frequency, and it's talking to you. It's like someone uses the expression, "Oh, it just spoke to me."
Right. Right.
Yet it was in their mind, and they never heard of an audible voice. And so you were dealing with a particular entity that was from a past life, and it has a lot to do with sort of like, and this is what I find interesting, because this is all the construct of your reality. Dragons, fairies, my goodness, some type of like troll. And so these particular entities are very tangible within your field, and understanding that you're drawing these energies in because of how you create, what you use your imagination for, what the projector is, and that energy is very tangible. Is that 1 life, 2 lives, 3 lives? Let's try 7. 7 lives back. And so you're bringing this into your space, you're operating in it. This is the construct of your reality. Here's the thing that I would recommend is understanding that if you come from a place of fear, you don't come from a place of healing. If you come from a place of fear, you don't come from a place of manifestation. If you come from a place of fear, you don't come from a place of magic. And so understanding that that's the core root. Your intuition, because you're highly intuitive, which would lead me to understand the high levels of yin that you operate in, which is, I have yin eyes, you have yin eyes. Now, what that means is the ability to see beyond this 3-dimensional reality, and this is getting into clairvoyant senses that you ramp up and you train and you develop, and then all of a sudden it'll happen through a sequence of methods that we use. You just open your eyes one day and it looks like a computer screen.
Wow.
And everything you see has energy. Like, just like I look at you, I'm looking at your aura, I'm looking at the excess and deficiencies of the energy that's running in through and around your body, from your body, which is giving me an understanding of where you're at mentally, emotionally. Does this make sense?
I could see it, man. That's a powerful skill you have.
It's something that is not, it's like everyone calls it woo-woo, but it's not woo-woo. Once you understand and are able to refine your sensory perception, it's very, very, very basic. That's a basic skill that you need to learn to navigate through this reincarnation and understand how powerful you are as an individual.
Wow.
And it's just like getting the source of information. I mean, I think I talked on my podcast just yesterday about how, some of the most brilliant minds in relation to metaphysics or martial arts, because everyone gravitates to martial arts. The easy part, when you're in energy, frequency, vibration, is cultivating yang energy. You and I have that as a solid force due to who we are. But that yin energy, that pulsating yin energy that gives you insight, intuition beyond this realm, is something that you're born with, and you can cultivate it, because we call it what we call Jing, which is your life force. So you come into this world with a constitution that is either leveled up or down. And the beautiful part is, as a Daoist, you can level up your constitution. So so to use the analogy of, you're born into this world, you had 70% battery pack. That's where you start. And you have the ability as a Daoist to ramp your battery pack to 100% and stay there all day, every day.
Right. Man, I love what you're teaching. I think it's going to change the lives of many. Do you have any closing comments for people watching?
No, I just want people to realize their innate power. And so understanding the way 126 is the gateway to unleashing the power you have within you. And I've worked with tens, thousands of people. Now this app has given me the opportunity to work with millions. And that raised consciousness is what's going to open the gateway to a whole level of awareness and connecting humanity.
Yeah, that's going to change the world. For real.
Yeah.
I love it. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.